Greetings everyone and welcome back for another episode of Bobolog. You may hear my heater go on and off a few times during this. I will try not to let that distract you, and hopefully it's not too much of a noise interruption. It has been so long since I've done this that I almost don't know where to start. It has in fact been about 4 months since my previous episode, and I got so out of practice that I couldn't even remember what my own segments were. I kept thinking, what am I going to do for On the Needles? Hang on, I don't call it On the Needles. That's one of Katrina Walser of Oliphant's Cats segment in her podcast. I could not remember how I had set this whole thing up, and I had to look back at old show notes to see that. Anyway, already rambling. For anyone who is new, my name is Bobby Olan and I am a knitter and crafter in Melbourne, Australia. For anyone who is returning, thank you so much for tuning in again after all of these really long breaks that I've been having, and to one and all, I hope you enjoy what I have to say in this episode. First things first is that I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I live and create, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and I would like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and future. On to content. I guess I should start with a little craft for thought, just talking about where I've been and why the last couple of months or something. Yeah, so after I finished the previous episode, my knitting mojo and crafting mojo sort of was going back into a bit of an ebb and flow, and more of an ebb. And for a while I don't want to use the word blaming, but I kept excusing it for, what am I trying to say? I kept coming up with reasons for why I wasn't feeling crafty, and it took quite a while for me to sort of realize or acknowledge what would probably the real reason was. I kept thinking initially that it was because I was working so much, and I think I mentioned in the previous episode, I've moved now from a traditional full-time job into I've gone back to retail, so I'm doing shift work, so I'm not on a constant schedule. I'm working like quite a few evenings. I was working really long shifts as well, 9.5-hour shifts, a lot. And I was just finding that on my days off, I was really tired and I just wasn't feeling up to doing much at all, really. So there was that. But then when I finally asked to cut back on my shifts and I started working less, the crafting didn't really pick back up again. So I'm sure a lot of that has to do with just my own poor time management. I feel like I have gotten a lot worse in managing my time. I do think what am I trying to say? I do think that when I am working on a regular schedule, that I do feel like I can manage my personal time a lot better. But I went back to retail for very specific reasons, and those reasons are still valid, and I still much prefer to stay where I am in my easy job, my easy, mindless, leave it at all at work job, than to go back to an office or something like that. And there's nothing that I'm really passionate enough to really pursue career-wise. So I'm going to stay where I am. And hopefully I do get better at this time management thing. But of course, also, like I mentioned in the previous episode, I'm trying to be more lenient with myself. So I don't, if I'm not feeling up to crafting, or I'm not feeling up to vlogging, or I'm not feeling up to whatever, then I've just been letting myself not do it, which is why I've probably only made like 2 Instagram posts since the last episode as well, because I just really haven't been doing much. And then also talking about Instagram and social media and everything, the one thing that I've sort of found interesting about myself in this time is, since I haven't been feeling crafty, I also just completely closed myself off to crafty media. So I stopped watching podcasts, so I'm super behind on all of the video podcasts that I watch and all of the audio podcasts that I listen to. And I did think about that a fair bit over this time, about why that was. And I feel like this is gonna sound really strange. So I am kind of wondering if anyone out there can relate to this sort of feeling. But because I wasn't crafting and I wasn't feeling crafty, it was almost like I didn't want to be exposed to other people crafting, because A, I didn't want to see what I was missing out on, and B, I didn't want to get like pulled back into it, like I wasn't ready to get back into it. Is that odd? Is that just weird? I have no idea. But that's sort of what it felt like. Like I didn't want to look at stuff, because if I looked at stuff, I would think, oh, I've got to be doing that again. And I think it is also like I felt like I didn't have the time and energy. So I didn't want to be pulled back in and expend time and energy that I didn't really feel like I had, even though honestly, probably I had them. Anyway, the real reason, or what I'm sort of coming to realize, or what I've decided is the real reason that I've sort of gone off crafts a lot in the last few months, is because having my tea and my crocheted cozy that my friend made for me. Anyway, that's an aside. Sorry, I keep getting lost today. I know that's normal and I should stop apologizing for it. But yeah, so the real reason I think why I haven't felt like crafting is because I've had like another big project going on in my life that has sort of been taking up all of my time and energy and interest. So when I would usually be crafting, I am doing a bit of research. I'm like all over Pinterest and I'm just like consumed by thinking about this other thing. And then recently that project hit a snag and had to be put sort of on pause for a while. And now all of a sudden I am crafting again. So yeah, that's kind of been interesting to see how that has all worked. That project is very slowly starting to pick up again. So it will be interesting to see how this ebb and flow of my crafting mojo survives that. And I do have to say that even though it was completely all on me that I was not watching YouTube and going on Instagram, I have really missed the community. I've missed all of you guys. So, yeah, and I was thinking recently, like it's not this isn't how you should treat friends, you know? If, yeah, I mean, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Like, if I like I was I partially, one of my reasons for starting this vlog was to sort of help me find and create like a little community for myself to, you know, find some knitting friends, find some crafty friends. And I did, but then this situation has been what it has been this year, and I haven't you know, maintained keeping in contact with anyone, as well as like not watching any of their content. And that really isn't how I should be treating relationships. So I'm sorry about that, and I will try to be more active. I feel like I have just become so much more of a hermit. It's almost like, this is like, I haven't actually thought about this, so this is all just germinating in my head right now as we speak. But because the job that I'm in now is a lot more public facing, it's so much more public than I have been ever since the pandemic started, right? So it's almost like I'm an introvert, and all of my the quota that I have for interacting with other people is being all used up when I go to work. So it's almost like when I come home from work, I need to do my introvert thing and stay in my little shell. And I do feel like that has gotten a lot worse since the pandemic. And I would like to be more outgoing and more social. So things that I have to work on in the future. Basically, I've missed you guys. I have started catching up on podcasts and that kind of thing since I have started knitting again in the last week. So yeah, hopefully I stick around, but no promises, because you got to do what you got to do. Is that all that I wanted to say on that? Have I rambled on enough? Probably. All right, let's get into the next segment, which is just going to be a really quick Curious in Craftlandia. But this time, I am the one posing the question to all of you. So, earlier this year, I finished making the bear sweater by Amy Bahrt, and I gifted that and all of that kind of thing. And then, so I've barely been on Ravelry either, but the last time I looked at it, I saw that I had a message from someone asking if I was willing to share my copy of the pattern, because since I got it, it was a free pattern online, but since I have downloaded the pattern myself and made it, it is now no longer available. It has been discontinued. So this person was asking if I would be willing to share my copy, and I would be, but I don't want to be stepping on anyone's toes. So I haven't gotten back to this person. And I tried sending the designer a message through Ravelry. This was probably around a month ago. And I haven't heard back. And they don't have any other contact information on their Ravelry profile. So I'm not sure what to do. Like, what do you guys think? Is it wrong to share a free pattern with someone? That's basically the question. What do you like? I would really love to know what your thoughts are, especially those of you who are designers out there. I don't want to be stepping on this designer's toes, if it has been removed for a reason, or I don't know. I don't know. But it was a free pattern, so it was a free pattern, so part of me thinks that that makes it okay, but I don't know if it's okay. So yeah, please let me know what you think. And we'll segue right into handy dandy from that. I did not take any finished photos of the bear sweater myself when I finished making it, but I gifted it for my nephew's first birthday, and my sister has since sent me a couple of photos of my nephew wearing them, and it's really cute, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. I think I probably would have talked about any mods that I made in the previous episode. I can't actually remember if I did make any mods, except that I sort of did my own. I made the stripes my own thickness. Was that all that I did that was different? Anyway, I made that in Sirdar Click DK with wool, so I believe that was a wool acrylic blend. I'd gotten 4 colors. 4? I know how to count. I'd gotten 4 colors a long time ago, when I was wanting to come up with my own design for a sweater for another nephew. And then I just ended up doing something completely different with completely different yarn. So that has been sitting in my stash for ages. So I'm really glad that I used it. I can't remember if I've used it all up. I'm just looking in my, my jars of leftovers here to see if I can see any of it. But if there were enough leftovers that if it was more than a small ball of yarn left over, it wouldn't be in that jar. It would be in the storage, which is in the closet over there. So I can't remember. It was so long ago. I have not been keeping good track of stuff. Anyway, that's that one. I also just thought I'd quickly mention that I did also gift the Star Illusion blanket that I made last year to the same nephew that got the bear sweater. I also gave it with his first birthday present, but I said that it was intended to be his birth present. And then my sister didn't open any of the presents at the party, and they didn't actually open the presents for a while because they were moving house. So there was this whole time period where they had stuff in 2 houses and the presents were in the new one and they were still living in the old one. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. When she sent me the photos of the bear sweater, that was when she was thanking me for the presents, and I was kind of a bit sort of hurt that she didn't mention the blanket at all, because that took so much more time, and to be honest, I was more excited about it because of that special effect that it has with the illusion knitting, with the shadow knitting. And she didn't say anything about it, so I was a bit like, that's it, I'm not knitting big projects for other people ever again. They just don't appreciate what I do and all of this kind of stuff. Anyway, down the line, I went to their new house for the first time, and they had the blanket out on the couch, and I was showing it to my parents who were also there, and I was explaining the illusion effect, saying, look at this, and my sister was like, oh, I never realized it did that. I thought you had made a mistake in knitting it, which is why it looks the way that it does. And she'd kind of she's been using it on the cat. She hasn't been, the baby hasn't been using it. She has been using it. So I really appreciated that she was using it. But I was also kind of like, Why didn't you say something? um, yeah, I feel like I think I was hoping that they would open the presents at the party so that I could explain it, because I think I did kind of feel like I did have a sense that it may need some explanation. And yeah, because I thought that I'd be able to explain it when she opened it, I didn't put a note in the card or anything like that explaining how it works. But I think if I ever do something like that again, I probably will make a note in the card. Um, yeah, just so I'm not in that funny, odd situation again. So that is that. So that again, that was the Star Illusion blanket by Katie Ahlquist in Sheepy's Whirl Fine Art. I do kind of think I want to make that again, and probably, honestly, in the exact same colors for a different baby that may be on the way. Yeah, okay, so on to new things for Handy Dandy. The first one that I want to mention is so last year I made a sweater in Bendigo Woolen Mills Luxury 10 ply, and I had a couple of little balls left over, and it was like a bright orange, which isn't really my color. So I did want to use up the yarn. I just, for some reason, that yarn, I just wanted it to be done, to be gone. So I did spend a bit of time, going through all of my patterns and that kind of thing, looking at Ravelry, trying to figure out what I could do that would use it up. And there was also another yarn that I was wanting to use up, which was a really old acrylic mohair that I'd gotten way back when I first started knitting and didn't know anything about fiber content or really much at all. So it was an acrylic mohair, and that was also something that I had been wanting to use up. So I thought I would pair them together, and I decided to make the Knitted Four Corners bag by Julie Weisenberger, which is in the Making magazine, the Desert issue. I'll just show it to you. I'll show it to you. I've marked it as finished in Ravelry because all of the knitting is done. Oopsies, look at that. I haven't woven in the end. Anyway, that's it there. So I made, there's a version that's like a mesh, which is the one that I made, and you can see it better against my top. And there's a version that is like solid, basically. And yeah, I made the yarn over version because I wanted the mesh, and it turned out really big. So it's kind of like that. It goes like that. So you've got corners there. So the thing that is missing from this is obviously the straps. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that. Let me just grab a thing out of here that I think I saw. Yes. All right, so that is what's left of the mohair that I held together with the orange yarn. I keep going back and forth between really liking this combination and really hating it. I do appreciate that the dark mohair has sort of muted the brightness of the orange bag a bit, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure that I love it really. So that's that there. Of this same yarn, I also have this much left of a variegated colorway. So my options for straps is I just buy some ready-made straps and attach them to the tops of the bags. The other thing that I have considered is, because I still have some of this orange yarn left, I am thinking about making a crochet strap, because I've seen a YouTube tutorial for a really good crochet strap. So I would make 2 straps and then attach them. The thing that I can't decide there is, if I do make the straps using the orange yarn, will I hold it with this? Will I hold it with this? Will I somehow try to hold it with both? Or will I just use the orange? I don't know. Right now I'm probably actually leaning to just buying straps, but we'll see. Let me know what you think. Yeah, and I don't know what to do with these either, so they can go back in the leftovers jar. So that's that one there. I do think that I would like to make this again in just a single yarn color, as in I won't marl it, I won't hold 2 together, because like, I think also part of the reason that I'm not in love with this is you can't see, it's just not really clear. So I feel like if I just do it in like a single color yarn, you'll be able to see it and get a bit more of a sense of like the mesh pattern, and I just have a feeling I'll like it better. So that's that there. I mean, obviously when there's stuff in it too, it will like stretch out and maybe you'll see the mesh better. But anyway, that's that one. Yeah, so I did that, and then I also finally let myself start making the Gothic Tracery beanie by Katrina Walser. So this is a pattern that, it's a paid pattern, but she gifted it to me last year. Thank you again, Kat. And at the time, I think it just started raining. Anyway, yeah, at the time I was in the middle of making a bunch of gifts. I was knitting a bunch of gifts. So I was saying that I couldn't cast that beanie on for myself until I had finished making all the presents first. So I let myself start that, and it was going really well. Here it is. Here I've left this spike is part of the lazy, I was going to call it a lazy Susan, but that's the food one, is it? The Lazy Kate system that came with my e-spinner. Actually, which way do I lean? There they are. There. Some of them there. So I've just left it on that spike, which sits over the blue one. Yeah, I love using these. They're so good. Anyway, this is Cascade 220. I can't remember the colorway, but it's Cascade 220. And this is what I have done of the beanie. It is coming out really well. I'm really happy with how it's looking. I did start this a while ago, and the reason that it's not finished is, yeah, and the it's only just occurred to me now that I didn't let myself start it because I was working on gift knitting, and then I stopped because I realized that I should do some other gift knitting. So I was really enjoying this knit. I was just going gangbusters on it. And then I sort of started feeling guilty that I was knitting a beanie for myself, and a beanie that I had started for my partner was just like languishing in a bag. So I thought, no, I should finish his beanie before I make my beanie. So this is sitting, waiting. A couple of things that I want to say about it. One is I did like a proper tubular cast on. I did the long tail tubular cast on. And I don't actually know that I love it in this yarn because you can see the bulk that it makes. Like, can you see that? And I don't know that I love that in this. So that's that. The other thing is in Kat's pattern, she has you cast on and then there's an in. This was a while ago, so I don't know if I'm remembering it 100% correctly, but you cast on and then there's an increase at some point within the ribbing. And because I decided that I didn't want a super snug fit, I just cast on the amount that the increase was. So I didn't have to do the increase. Yeah. And again, because I've talked about before, I have this thing about how I really like it when ribbing transitions into cables really, really smoothly. So I just want to show you how that does it here. So there's this cable here that, can you see that? So it's a 1x1 ribbing, but this, where am I? Here, this fat bottom of this cable here, the ends of it, oh my god, why can't I point? The ends of it are coming up from knit columns, which is lovely, lovely. And then this other cable here, the two outside, this and this, the two outside cables are coming up from the knit columns, and the two innermost cable things are coming up from knit columns too. It didn't work out that the other ones there, they're coming out from purls, but that's totally fine. Like the very edges of it for me are kind of like the more key ones where I would want that to be happening, and you can't have it all the time really. So I think this is coming out beautifully, and yeah, I'm very much looking forward to being able to get back onto it. So yeah, that's it. That's kind of it. Good, that didn't come off. I was a bit worried. Yeah, so that's the Gothic Tracery beanie. Next up is, so like I said, I put this aside because I realized that I should be finishing the beanie for my partner, and it wasn't getting a lot of progress on it because I was taking it to work to be working on my work breaks, but when I stopped getting the really long shifts, I wasn't getting as much breaks, so I wasn't getting time to knit on it. So of course, like, I just started just knitting on it and not waiting for work breaks to do it. And I'm starting to get close to the end, but it is the Reykr Hat by Buckaloo View, and I am making it in Naturally Yarns New Zealand Aran Tweed. So this is yarn that I have had in my stash for quite a long time. I bought 4 different colorways, 2 of them in sweater quantities from like a discount area of Wando Flex, which is one of my local yarn stores. I love tweed. Tweed's my favorite yarn. I've said that many, many times. I'm not sure now, knowing what I understand about yarn now, that I would have bought so much of it, purely because it is a single, and I don't love working with singles, but it's coming out really nicely actually. So that's the beanie there. It's looking huge. I mean, I have done a lot more on it than I have of the beanie for myself, but I think I just need to do like another 5 centimeters, and then I can start doing the decreases for the crown. So that is the Reykr Hat there. I did the long-tailed tubular cast on again, but you can't, it doesn't have the same bulk that I feel like it has in this yarn here. And I don't know, part of me, like, I kind of think that's because this is a lighter color, I feel like it's showing up more. That's my theory. Anyway, yeah, I think that cast on is looking a lot better in this than it was in that, and yeah, I think that looks really good. And when I finish this, I am sure that I will still have a sweater's quantity worth of this. So I have this is my second ball of yarn. So those are the ends inside where I have joined it with just holding 2 strands together for a few stitches somewhere in there. And yeah, so that's that. Hopefully the next time I film, whenever that will be, it should be done, because there's not much left to go. That's all I have to say about that one. The next project is also for my partner, and I had intended it to be a present for his birthday this year, but I started it way too late, and then because I wasn't really feeling into knitting, I gave it like next to no time, and there is like 3 weeks until his birthday, and I have done next to nothing. So let me show you the wonderful progress that I have made. That is it. That is all that I have done. Yeah, oh, by the way, this is Haskins by Veronik Avery in Bendigo Woolen Mills Classic 8-ply. I am making another video for this, though I won't say a lot. But one thing that I do want to mention is, can you see that line right here in the middle where the stitches, where it looks different? It almost looks like twisted or something. I think what happened there is I was doing this ribbing normally, and then I'm doing this in combination ribbing. So you wrap the purl stitches backwards to try to get them to be tighter. And I think for this, so I knit a bit, I put it down for ages, and I think when I came back to it, I started doing the ribbing in that combination style. And I think that's why those couple of rows look different, because after a couple of rows I realized, oh, hang on, this wasn't how I was working this, and I went back to doing it the other way. And I really did not think that it would make that much of a difference. But of course, you know, when you wrap the yarn around the thread one way, it affects the twist of it, and when you wrap the yarn around the needle the other way, it affects the twist of it. So that's all that I can think that would have been going on, because they are not twisted. They just look different. So hopefully that's something that will block out. But also this is the back, the bottom of the back. So hopefully it works out fine. Again, long tail tubular cast on, and I think it looks fine. You can see it. You can see like the bulk of it there, but I think that looks fine. I think that looks good. in this. Yes. Oh, and for this one I am using, oh, I've lost one in the bag, but I am using the stitch markers that I got as part of 1121 Windmills Advent last year. I'm sure that missing stitch marker is in here somewhere, but I would have liked to show it to you. Here it is. So this is the werewolf set. They're really cute. They're really cute. Cool. So that's that. I'll pack all this back in. And then the last thing that I have been working on is another present for my partner. So when I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to get this done in time for his birthday, I thought I'll make him something else that I've had planned for a while and that I haven't gotten around to. I am making him the Isabellina socks by Carolyn Lisle. I am making them in Peyton's Wanderer. I have made these socks once before in the same yarn, different colorways, and he really likes them. They're the first and only DK socks that I've made for him, and I really like making socks in DK. So this is the original one. You can see that there has been some pilling, but I feel like that has held up so well. As far as I know, he's never taken a lint remover to it, and I think they still look really good. And interestingly, if I compare the size, they didn't grow that much with wash and wear. Yeah, so I just thought I'd show you that comparison. The yellow yarn is exactly the same yarn. So you can see how you can compare that. Anyway, put that away. Yeah, so what I'm doing differently with this one is with the other pair, I cast on here at the start of the foot and I knit up, and then I picked up those stitches and I did a star of 4 points toe. For this one, I'm doing it exactly as the pattern said. So I cast on the toe and I just went for it. The other thing that I am doing differently with this is that I decided to, because this is 100% wool, I think it's 100% Corridel. I don't think I have any of the labels. Yeah, anyway, I think it's 100% Corridel. It's definitely 100% wool, and even though these ones have held up really well, no signs that I can see of threadbare or holes or anything, I decided that since I had some knitting in elastic, I would try holding that together with these socks. So I have knit everything up to this point with the knitting in elastic, and then I started the second sock, and I am still working the gusset, and I have run out. I've made a tangle. Let me just try to get this out so you can see it there. So that's the knitting in elastic there, and that's all that I have left of it, so I need to buy some more. I will knit it again up to this point, and then I'll do the legs without holding the knitting in elastic with it, because I don't think it needs it as much. I don't think it needs the extra durability. So that's that. And again, another difference, a pretty obvious one, is that I haven't done the heel in the contrast color. For these ones, I will just knit the leg up until I run out of this green yarn, and I'll do the cuffs in the yellow. So yeah, so they'll be just a little bit different from each other. Yeah, really great pattern. I think it looks really good. I'm enjoying knitting it the second time around. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. Okay, so let me stuff all of that back in. That's all of the knitting that I have to share with you. I have done the tiniest amount of other crafts, but they're not worth mentioning, so I won't. Yeah, so last segment is Heartful of Craft, and what I have been grateful for lately is we are now in the middle of autumn, end of autumn? We're in autumn, and it's been cold. It's been really cold, and our house is drafty and gets very, very cold. So what I am grateful for is those random, unexpected, sunny, beautiful days that we have still been getting here and there. We had a couple last week, I think it was, and when I went out for my walk, I got all rugged up and I brought the umbrella because it was like drizzling a little bit and I thought it was just going to be a miserable cold walk, but then the sun came out and it was just beautiful and lovely and warm and it just made me happy. So that is what I am grateful for. Sunshine. Thank you, sunshine. Yeah, so that's all that I have for you. Like I said, I have no idea when I'm coming back. There is clearly no schedule this year, for which I apologize. I hope you do stick around when and if I come back. Not if, when I come back. Yeah, if you would like to support me, then it would really be great to get those likes. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. The rain is picking up again. Yeah, that's it. I will see you when I see you. Fare thee well.